Okay, this short video is going to show you how to create a campaign. What we're going to do is create a campaign that will send out appointment reminder notices. So I have just clicked on Add a Campaign. The first thing I need to do is give my campaign a name. I'll just call it Reminder. I will put a description in. This is going to be a voice campaign, so I'll just make a note of that. The caller ID is the number that will show up on the patient's phone when a call comes into them, show up as the caller ID. So I'll just use my phone number for that. This is going to be a voice call rather than a text message, and the other information has to do with retries, and we can leave that alone. We'll click on Next and set up the time and date that calls are allowed to be made. In this case, we pop up reasonable defaults for a campaign that's just going to run right away. So the only thing I'll do is set the time zone to Pacific. Then I'll move on to the next step. The next step is to determine what is going to be in the message that your call recipients are going to hear. In this case, it's a very simple message. We're just going to say, this is a reminder from your doctor's office, your appointment is at, and then we're going to give a time. So we can use the message editor to create that message. There's one variable in the message, that's the appointment time. So I will go ahead and create an appointment time variable. I can name it anything I want, but I want to give it a reasonable name. And then I need to build the message, and the message is going to be that initial prompt, which I'll call greeting, and I'm going to paste in the text for it, and I'm going to save that. And now I want to add the variable. I'm going to insert the variable that we defined up here, the appointment time, into our message. And there's only one variable defined for this message, so I'll go ahead and add that. And here's our message. This is a reminder from your doctor's office. You have an appointment today at, and then we'll speak the time that is contained in each contact record. So I'm finished with this. I am going to return back to my campaign definition, and I'll click Next. Now I've told it, I've given it a name, the campaign a name, I've said when it's okay to call, I have defined the message that's going to go out. Now the only thing we have to do is tell it who to call and when, what the appointment times are. That should be voiced back in the message. We can upload a list, a CSV file created in Excel, for example. But for this demo, I'm just going to add a single contact. And let's say I want to remind myself. So I'm going to call my phone number. I'm going to put my name in here. I don't need a description. Everything else is fine, except I do need to edit the time that will be voiced back for me in particular. Let's say I'm scheduled for an appointment at 3 p.m. And that didn't take. And that still didn't take. Still isn't taking. Well, that's annoying. But let's pretend that it did. So now we look at the contact list. We see we've got one in there. There's my phone number. And the call is pending. It hasn't gone out yet because we haven't started the campaign. So I will say Next. And here we are. We've got plenty of credits left to make calls. We've got one contact in the campaign. And it hasn't been completed yet, so it's neither successful nor unsuccessful. Let's start the campaign, and shortly after starting it, the call will go out. It shows up as idle at first, but shortly we'll flip over into a green ready state.